Hi, my name is Quinton Cross, Managing Executive of AECI Plant and Animal Health. Across our business, we have a number of sites, namely Kloorkop, Lilianton in Boksburg, Modderfontein, Biocult in Somerset West, Paarl Warehouse, Malawi Warehouse, and our operations in Burgersdorp. At AECI, we believe that zero harm is achievable, and we aspire to operate sustainably without harm to people, the environment, and the communities in which we operate. To ensure zero harm, we believe in these four critical fundamentals. Accountable leadership, where our leaders set the tone for zero harm from the top all the way to the frontline team leaders. Engaged people. Our people must be empowered and actively participate in the journey to zero harm. I encourage you to demonstrate and live by the desired behaviors every day. Risk-based SHEC management. SHEC management actions must be prioritized based on a good understanding of the SHEC risk profile in our areas of work, and we must identify and ensure the effectiveness of the critical controls. The fourth and last SHEC fundamental is continuous improvement. Let us all drive continuous improvement and have a mindset of beyond compliance to achieve excellence and sustainable zero harm. I trust that our employees and contractors will pay careful attention to the remainder of this induction video. Let us all work safely so that we can return home in the safe condition that we arrived, all in one piece and in good health.
Welcome to the AECI Plant Health SHEC Induction. AECI Plant Health can be considered a leader in innovative product development. AECI Plant Health is responsible for its own in-house development, manufacturing, formulation and distribution of specialized agricultural chemical products. The company carries out extensive research and development of quality products backed by technical know-how in every aspect of the business. Please pay careful attention as you will be undertaking a test at the end. Your cooperation is appreciated. The remainder of this video will take you through general site information, safe behaviors, legal requirements, general safety and security requirements, general housekeeping requirements, when in contact with harmful chemicals, safety and emergency equipment, handling and storage of hazardous chemical agents, health protocols, environmental protocols, general site information. The Lilianton, Modderfontein and the Paarl Warehouse sites are classified as major hazard installations in terms of the Occupational Health and Safety Act 85 of 1993. We receive, manufacture, store and dispatch a number of hazardous chemicals, and therefore you must pay careful attention to this induction video as we will highlight some of the key hazards that may be present on site and inform you on what to do to ensure you and your colleagues are safe at all times. As you go about your work, ensure you understand and control the risks involved. We will do our utmost to keep you safe, and in turn, you must do the same. Safe behaviors. In our effort to manage safety, health, environment and quality, we subscribe to the standards of responsible care and others where applicable. Our life-saving behaviors instills a culture of safety throughout the AECI group and focuses on those behaviors and activities that have the potential of serious injury or fatality when safety rules are not adhered to. The 15 critical safe behaviors focus on those behaviors and activities that enforces the safe behaviors that are required to minimize any risk of recordable injuries. Ensure you identify with life-saving behaviors and/or critical safe behaviors applicable to your scope of work, and ensure adequate controls are in place to prevent harm. Every employee and contractor is expected to zero in. Before, during, and after any task, zero in. Zoom in on an area Consider the task at hand, people around, the area of concern, and the tools required to complete the job. Evaluate the risk by looking at what can go wrong, how and why it will go wrong. Reaffirm controls and behaviors required. Opportunity: correct any deviations and ask for help when not sure. Remember to zero in everywhere, all the time, for all tasks to ensure the safety of yourself and your colleagues. Legal requirements. Our site is governed by various legislations, which includes acts and regulations, municipality bylaws, etc. These have been translated into SHEC requirements and must be adhered to at all times. AECI Plant Health takes compliance seriously and enforces it throughout our operations. AECI Plant Health operates according to the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Under the OSH Act, the employer can be convicted and sentenced in respect of not taking reasonable action to prevent an act or omission which does not comply with the Act. Employees may be convicted and sentenced under the Act if they willfully act in an irresponsible and negligent manner. Section 37 of the OSH Act. Acts or omissions by employees or mandatories. Section 37(2). Responsibility for employees and contractors' health and safety agreements. Health and safety agreement to be signed before commercial agreement and to reference health and safety specs. Insurance must be adequate for the scope of work. Subcontractors to comply to SHE requirements. Section 14 of OSH Act. Every employee shall at work take care of himself and others who may be affected by his acts or omissions. Cooperate with his employer in respect of the Act. Carry out lawful orders in respect of health and safety. Report unsafe and unhealthy acts and conditions to his health and safety representative or employer as soon as possible. Report any incident which may affect his health, caused an injury to himself within his shift or as soon as possible. Section 12 of OSH Act. General duties of employers to their employees. Employers are responsible for ensuring that all employees clearly understand the potential risks and hazards present in the workplace. OSH Act communication is critical, and health and safety must be communicated to all employees. This will be achieved through training, toolbox talks, communication notice boards, newsletters, and the company intranet. Section 15 of the OSH Act. Duty not to interfere with, damage, or misuse things. No person shall intentionally or recklessly interfere with, damage, or misuse anything which is provided in the interests of health and safety. Section 29 of NEMA. Workers that refuse to do environmentally hazardous work are protected. Any person has the right to refuse to do work if he or she, in good faith and reasonably believes at the time when he or she refused to do the work, that it could cause a serious threat to the environment. A copy of these acts and these regulations are available for perusal by all employees. General safety and security requirements. No alcohol, drugs, dagga, knives, firearms or explosives are allowed on site. AECI Plant Health have aligned with AECI Group and adopted a zero-tolerance approach to the use of drugs and alcohol, and therefore no person may enter the site if under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Searches for alcohol, prohibited drugs, and other substances of abuse within the workplace may be conducted. Any employee who suspects another individual of being intoxicated or in an unfit state due to the influence of alcohol or drugs shall report the matter to the supervisor on shift or security. Smoking is only allowed in designated smoking areas. No unauthorized people are allowed onto the factory premises. Materials belonging to the factory may not be removed from the factory premises or work area. A goods exit permit must accompany all materials leaving the factory premises. All employees and visitors entering or leaving the factory premises are subject to random security searches, which include motor vehicle searches and body searches. Any employee guilty of willfully breaking the factory rules and regulations may be dismissed. Speed limits on site are to be obeyed at all times. All safety signs must be obeyed. The standard PPE for entrance onto the manufacturing areas are eye protection, an acid-resistant overall with reflective tapes, a hard hat, safety footwear with impact protection and anti-slip soles, hearing protection which must be worn in demarcated areas. Other PPE may be necessary based on the area or task risk assessment, such as face shield, apron, respiratory protection, gas mask, gloves. Hard hats are not required anywhere on the BioCult site. Always walk in the designated walkways and be aware of moving vehicles. When walking up or down the stairs, hold on to the handrail. Park only in designated areas. Reverse parking where appropriate. All incidents that have caused harm to people, the environment, company property and the community must be reported immediately or as soon as reasonably practicable to the supervisor, manager, SHEC or security, so that the necessary corrective measures may be taken. All employees and contractors are encouraged to report near misses. These are conditions that could potentially cause harm. Employees and contractors must familiarize themselves with the site emergency procedures. You are not allowed to take any video or photographs of the emergency scene or injured unless authorized to do so for the purpose of the investigation. Cell phones are permitted in certain areas. Please confirm such areas with your team leader or SHEC. You are not permitted to disclose any information to the media. General housekeeping requirements. We take pride in the appearance of our facility. All our workspaces must be maintained to the highest housekeeping standards. Housekeeping is the responsibility of all employees. Yes, that includes you. Keep aisles, walkways, corridors, staircases, entrance halls, doorways and emergency exits clear and accessible. Report any defective signs or plant equipment to your supervisor or plant personnel. Ensure that the equipment laydown areas are clearly identified and kept in good condition at all times. Dispose waste in dedicated bins. Do not mix plant-contaminated waste and general office waste. Do not put chemicals and oil into the stormwater drains. Compressed air may not be used to remove dust from any surface, including from personal protective clothing, whether being worn by a person or not. What to do if you come into contact with a harmful chemical. If splashed with harmful chemicals on the skin or eyes, it is very important to wash the affected area immediately. Never delay washing. Diphoterine must be applied within 60 seconds to be most effective. Therefore, it is very important that the diphoterine is in close proximity when working with or near hazardous chemicals. Use the entire contents of the diphoterine container. Contaminated clothing and contact lenses must be removed before spraying diphoterine or while getting into the shower. If there is no diphoterine available, then use the safety shower or eye wash fountain and wash the affected area for at least 20 minutes with water. Do not put contaminated clothes back on. Safety and emergency equipment. In the interests of health and safety, do not misuse or abuse any safety equipment provided. Do not remove any emergency equipment from its location. For your safety and emergency assistance, we have diphoterine stations, safety showers, first aid boxes, breathing apparatus sets, and firefighting equipment strategically located on site. When carrying out work that includes handling of hazardous chemicals, diphoterine shall be placed as close as possible for a speedy response in case of the chemical splash. Know the location of all emergency equipment. This can save your life. Do not interfere with any trip or interlock systems provided. All firefighting appliances, in other words fire extinguishers, fire hoses, etc., must be kept free from obstructions so they can easily be seen and are immediately available for use. Handling and storage of hazardous chemical agents. Our operations involve the use of dangerous goods, chemicals or substances and agents which must be stored appropriately. These goods include raw materials, intermediates, finished products, and waste materials. The hazards posed by these chemicals includes inhalation, absorption through the skin, and ingestion, which can have detrimental effects on your health. Other hazards include spillages, fire, and explosions. Not only can these affect your health, but also can cause harm to the environment and the general public's health. Do not exceed the maximum storage capacity. This could result in a release of product, causing spillages, fires, or explosions. When walking around the plant, be on the lookout for unsafe acts and unsafe conditions, such as spillages, broken pallets, speeding with forklifts, etc., and report these to plant personnel. When storing chemicals, ensure that they are compatible with one another. To protect yourself against the hazards associated with the hazardous chemicals, ensure that you are trained on hazards associated with each chemical that you handle. Understand the safety data sheet of a chemical before working with it. Before working with any equipment, ensure that it is decontaminated and free from hazardous materials. Where hazardous materials cannot be removed, ensure that you wear the appropriate PPE as prescribed on the Operating Instruction, SDS, and Permit to Work. These may include the use of acid suits, aprons, respiratory PPE, and so on. When exposed to hazardous chemical agents, report the matter to your supervisor and get help immediately. All employees are issued with protective clothing or equipment. In other words, gloves, respirators, gas masks, face shields, etc., for specific jobs. Employees must wear these while doing such jobs. Employees are to ensure that PPE is kept in a clean condition, stored away when not in use, and replaced immediately if damaged. Health protocols. Before employment, every worker will be examined by a company-approved occupational medical practitioner and a record taken of his medical history and medical condition. All workers must undergo an annual medical examination by a company-approved occupational medical practitioner. Due to the nature of the product being produced and the materials being handled, it will be necessary for blood samples to be taken periodically from certain employees for medical examination and monitoring purposes. Workers are required to respond and cooperate fully with the occupational medical practitioners. If taking prescription medication that may impair your judgment, kindly notify your supervisor and consult an occupational medical practitioner. Workers to participate fully in occupational hygiene programs. Food is not permitted in the work areas. Food must be prepared and eaten only in the mess room. No eating and drinking in the plants or laboratories. Only eat in designated eating areas. Before eating or drinking, all employees must wash their face, hands, and arms thoroughly with soap and water. Work clothing must under no circumstances be taken home. All employees must familiarize themselves with the laundry procedures for their work clothing. Environmental protocols. All employees must be committed to and familiarize themselves with the company's environmental standards. All unusual environmental spillage or emissions must be reported to management. All employees must participate fully in environmental studies, programs, and monitoring exercises. Protection of the environment is the responsibility of all citizens. This includes you. Pollution prevention is also part of the AECI SHEC policy. Pollution prevention programs include correct handling and management of waste, waste reduction, recycling, and reuse of usable waste items where appropriate. Each and every one of us is responsible for both our individual and collective well-being. Our goal is zero harm, so we can all go back home safely to our families. This induction is valid for a period of 12 months. Thank you for watching this induction video.